So the idea was you would establish some performance milestones where you could use those milestones and reviews and data products to judge how much progress the contractor was actually making in a technical sense towards achieving a capability to actually deliver cargo or provide cargo services in the future. So this is a good way of moving forward. You take the work of over several years, you can break it down into milestones, and then you can then monitor the performance as you go into those milestones and see that they're actually making progress going forward. We learned some pretty important lessons there. Sometimes we would write the milestone at a very high level without a lot of specifics, and the criteria used to judge whether that was successfully passed or not passed was maybe not as well written as it should have been. For example, we may have asked for a landing gear test, and then they did a landing gear test with, a piece of cardboard and a rubber tire, and it wasn't really what we wanted. We were expecting more of a full-up test, but we made a mistake of not being very specific in writing those milestone performance success criteria down at the beginning. The other thing that we found also beneficial was to identify also criteria going into a milestone. So there's initial conditions, initial paperwork, initial products we expected to see to go into a milestone review. So I think one lesson learned was it's to the advantage of both the person that's performing the work, the Space Act participant, as well as the agency to be a little more specific about exactly what you want out of these milestones. So I think it's a good way moving forward, but one key lesson we learned was the devil's in the detail. You got to be specific about what the pass criteria is. Another lesson we learned in milestones was sometimes we would make them very complex, like a large review, which would be maybe several thousand pages of documentation or design information. That was almost too voluminous for us to get through in one review, and then it would just hold up forever to get that milestone accomplished. So we had the ability to take one milestone and split it into sub-milestones. So you'll see us do that even today, where we'll have an A milestone, a B milestone, and a C milestone, where we had the idea we want you to do all this design work, but it doesn't naturally break out that way. Maybe we'll have you do the ground segment first and the flight segment, and then maybe some operation on orbit piece in the third piece. So you'll see us now take those milestones and break them into sub-milestones. That also allows the person performing the contract to receive some payment for accomplishing a portion of the work, and they don't have to complete maybe a 10,000-page document before they actually get paid. They will get paid in an increment that's consistent with the amount of work they're doing. So I think the milestone philosophy is a very sound philosophy. We learned a lot through this process of how to set those up better with entrance, exit criteria, and then the scope and the amount of work in each milestone are all important to be considered as you think about putting those performance milestones in the Space Act agreement.